So here we go, folks. Another day, another grievance. This time it's Black Lives Matter again. Not surprising. So Black Lives Matter's 6 million LA mansion agent insists everything was above board. I don't know what that means, but let's read ahead. So Black Lives Matter, not to be confused with the movement. There's an actual movement called Black Lives Matter, which aims to bring awareness regarding the social injustice committed against Black people, chiefly in the United States, but perhaps globally, although mainly in the United States. It was a movement that was started around the time of the death of Trayvon Martin, which I believe was about 2012, and grew into a worldwide movement, especially in 2020 when George Floyd was killed during a police arrest for paying with a fraudulent $20 bill. Okay, so Black Lives Matter, the movement, is not the same as the organization, and my understanding is this incident pertains to the organization of Black Lives Matter, organization which was founded by Patrisse Cullors, or co-founded by Patrisse Cullors. And if you're looking at this and thinking deja vu, you are correct. Black Lives Matter 6 million LA mansion agent insists everything was above board, whatever that means. So let's read ahead. The real estate agent who handled the secretive 6 million purchase of a lavish Los Angeles mansion for Black Lives Matter has insisted that everything was above board with the sale, but he refused to go into detail. A local real estate developer, Diane Pascal, with links to Black Lives Matter, bought the 6,500 square foot mansion for $3.1 million back in October 2020. Property records obtained by the Post showed. Days later, the mansion was transferred to a shell company, so a fraudulent company that doesn't exist, controlled by the Black Lives Matter Global Network Foundation, the charity behind the Black Lives Matter movement, for $5.8 million. I never touched any money. The money went straight to escrow, Pascal told the Washington Examiner when asked about the sale. He reportedly refused to answer further questions about the involvement in the sale and said, "I don't owe you an explanation." So I guess that is the outline of the mansion in Studio City, California, property to the Black Lives Matter Global Network. So if you're thinking deja vu, you are not incorrect. So these are the founders of Black Lives Matter: Alicia Garcia, Patrisse Cullors in the center, and Opal Tometi are credited with starting the Black Lives Matter call to action. The mansion was reportedly purchased with Black Lives Matter donated funds, and the deal was carried out 2 weeks after the California Attorney General approved a $65 million transfer from Thousand Currents, the charity that collected donations on behalf of the group. So $65 million in donation accumulated around 2020. This is donations that were triggered by the death of George Floyd, and many people watching that horrendous video felt a certain way, and they donated a ton of money amounting to about $65 million. This money is now mainly unaccounted for. But the paper trail seemed to be showing a lot of real estate purchases by Patrisse Cullors, seen here at center, and the other members of this organization. This is an investment that an organization has the right to do if you know anything about nonprofit law, Pascal told the outlet. Yeah, Pascal, who is the financial manager for Janea and Patrisse Consulting. So these are the co-founders of Black Lives Matter. Patrisse Cullors and her spouse, Janaya Khan, added that he didn't purchase the house but had assigned it to an LLC. Celebrities and the wealthy often create LLCs for privacy and to protect their assets from creditors. Keep in mind, this is Patrisse Colors, who is a self-described trained Marxist, but is buying lots of mansions. The mansion was reportedly purchased with funds that were originally donated to the Black Lives Matter Foundation. Patrisse Cullors resigned from the Black Lives Matter organization after the purchase of the multi-million-dollar property was reported. Details about the purchase of the mansion were first detailed in New York Magazine report earlier this week. In response to that report, Cullors, who resigned from the Black Lives Matter organization in May, said the reason the purchase wasn't previously announced was because the house, which she said was bought to be a safe space for Black people, required repairs and renovations. She also claimed the report was racist and sexist, an attack on Black Lives Matter. So, to carry on, the Post reported that no permits had been sought for upgrades to the 1930s house since its October 2020 sale, and a source described by the Washington Examiner as having direct knowledge of the property sale said the mansion received substantial renovations before its October 2020 sale. So, the organization in February 2021 said it had taken in more than $90 million in 2020 and still had $60 million on hand, but it remains unclear how that money is being managed or even where it is. So I initially said it's about 60 to 65. It's actually 90 million, and no one knows what they did with it. Cullors, the co-founder of the organization, who resigned in May, blah, blah, blah. On Wednesday, Cullors angrily hit back at the question over cash purchase of the Studio City mansion, describing the criticism as racist and sexist. Duh! She insisted that the expensive property was bought as a safe space for Black creatives, activists, and thought leaders, and its purchase was never disclosed because it needed renovating. But again, I wonder if I could go there and hang out there as a Black creative. Something tells me I cannot. More shady stuff. A review of property assessment records show the value of the mansion BLMGNF purchase skyrocketed while all the neighboring properties saw an average of less than a 5% increase. This raises serious questions concerning the purchase price of the house and the way the transaction was handled through cash and shadowy LLCs. So, more on this shady deal in shady property. The memo goes on to designate the property as a safe house for leaders whose safety has been threatened. The internal bulletin, however, notes holes in security story, use in public YouTube videos. YT's YouTube. The memo seemingly referencing Cullors' public video outside the supposed secret hideout, in which the three officials sip champagne on the property's patio over an ornate table spread and address controversy over Cullors' now notorious property purchases. So this is what happens when you are exploiting Black victimhood for financial gain. Keep in mind this woman is a self-described trained Marxist. Here they are outside on the property sipping champagne and laughing almost supervillain style about all the money that they've used to purchase these expensive things. So, news of the property purchase comes amid heightened scrutiny of the foundation, which famously grew into one of the largest international movements against racial injustice in mid-2020 and has since faced calls for financial transparency. Black Lives Matter attempted to quell speculation of suspected misappropriation in early 2021 by releasing a financial report that showed it had taken in $90 million throughout 2020, distributed grants to its partner organizations, and had $60 million remaining in its accounts. Earlier this year, DailyMail.com also revealed the group blew $12.7 million of those funds on professional fees, according to the charity revenue and expenses statements that were included in its application for tax-exempt nonprofit status in August 2020. However, neither of those reports included records of the $6 million property purchase made earlier this year. So for those of you paying attention, this is not the first financial controversy for this organization, which is basically a grifter organization, just to let it out there how I feel about this. This is Patrisse Cullors cited the release of her second book and a TV deal as the cause of departure from the organization. So Patrisse, this is after she left, after receiving numerous book and television deals. And she also had a $3 million property portfolio. Patrisse Cullors, who founded the racial justice movement in 2013, is a self-described Marxist. Always a Marxist until the millions started rolling in. Faced criticism after it was reported last month that she owns 4 properties, including a $1.4 million house in Malibu and a ranch in Georgia. She claimed to be a victim of right-wing attacks. Bones of the foundation. So of course she does. So really, folks, the point I'm really trying to make with all of this rant is don't give your money to these people. They are grifters. If you legitimately feel you want to help, whatnot, maybe donate your money, support local Black businesses, support Black businesses if you really legitimately want to help. Donate to local community organizations that are actually doing work directly with Black people. Most of these activists you see on social media are grifters. Obviously, this self-described trained Marxist wasn't a Marxist once the money started rolling in and started buying all these $3 million property portfolio, many of which she paid for with cash that she cannot seem to explain where it came from. And of course, when all else fails, you cry racism, blah, blah, blah. Evil right-wingers. Now, I have nothing against, people making money, but when you make money at the expense of other people's pain and suffering, since many of the victims or the families of people who've been victimized by police or racial injustice haven't received anything from this organization, while the founders are buying up expensive properties, that is where there is a problem. These individuals are intentionally going around promoting race and Black victimization narratives while making money off it. There's nothing to gain from the actual victims and their families here. Nothing financially, nothing but the exploitation of their trauma, their pain, and their suffering, which is being used to prop up these grifters. She's not the first, she's not the last. You can see Ibram X. Kendi and the rest of the race hustlers who make a ton of money by conning gullible white people into donating to them, claiming that they are somehow helping Black people. And they're not. As I said, if you really want to support Black people, donate money to local charities, donate money or support rather Black businesses. Don't give money to this organization because, again, I'm still waiting for what happened to the remainder of the $60 million that they mysteriously cannot come up with. Let's find out what happens to that. Until, oh God. Anyway, I don't want to rant on these topics, but really, grifters are going to grift, and these people are grifters. Do not support these people. Stop funding grievance activists. Stop funding people whose job it is to exploit race, racism, and trauma for profit and fame and fortune. Stop funding them.